I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
We are the future, Charles, not them.
I'm kidding.
We're the X-Men, dated metaphor for racism in the 60s.
What's a Magneto? A very powerful mutant.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the X-Verse, where we are going through every movie in the Fox X-Men catalogue, and ladies and gentlemen and all those in between, we are at the last episode, the final episode. We took a little break so that it could be added to streaming, but we are finally here to do Deadpool and Wolverine. I am Kyle, one of your hosts. I am of course joined by Nathan.
Hello everyone, I'm Nathan. I am indeed your co-host for this, and because we've taken a few weeks off, we have been like a spring pushed down into its core. We have so much energy to just nail this final film.
Oh, I'm sure, yes. We are well known for having lots of energy on this show, I'm sure.
I'm excited, Kyle, actually.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of where we could have ended it could be worse. We could be ending on the New Mutants, so...
Thank you, Feige, for giving us a saving grace here.
It certainly is an ending. Not quite like a traditional big dramatic ending, but it does try its best to honour the past while looking forward to the future, you know?
Yeah, this feels very much like an epilogue.
Which does make it a strange Deadpool 3 movie, but I'm sure we'll get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to talk about how this movie came to be, Kyle? Is that what we want to do?
I mean, you can cover that, because I'm not entirely sure. I know this movie went through a heck of a lot of rewrites and studio nonsense.
Oh yes it did. Well, I mean, I don't know how much studio nonsense it really went through, apart from we've had a studio buyout, you know, so...
I am fairly sure I've heard that the TVA was not originally a part of this movie.
Yeah, well, I do think the script had been significant. Because I think this was all looking at stuff because of the success of things like Loki and how do we make the multiverse stuff work. I don't think, because I think that the Marvel have probably never really quite known what to do with the X-Men.
Yes.
And
we should say that this is technically an MCU movie.
Yes,
this is the only MCU movie we're doing.
Is this the first MCU film, Kyle, that's not actually set in the MCU proper? Because, What If isn't, but that's acknowledged to be a different thing?
Multiverse of Madness kind of is not set mostly there, although the character's from there, so...
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to know how we got our director for this?
I would love to know.
We got Sean Levy. So, This is all quite fun from a business perspective. He worked on Free Guy, the Ryan Reynolds movie. Do you remember this film?
Yes, I do. Free Guy it's okay. It's alright.
It is okay. And now, from what I hear about Free Guy, now this was one of the last movies Fox ever produced.
Yes.
And it kind of got thrown into being like one of the Disney handovers that Disney have got to say, what do we do with this?
Yeah.
And by all accounts, I heard that it was an absolute mess. It was delayed during COVID, and a lot of the IP things, because they wanted to have a Ready Player One-esque film.
Yeah.
And it just kind of was a bit lackluster, right? We got some Halo stuff in that movie, Kyle. We got some other video game tie-in stuff.
A lot of Marvel and Star Wars stuff gets shoved in there.
Well, I'm going to get there, right? So that's different. I mean, it's not different, but it is different. So when Disney are looking at this going, how do we save this, right? How do we get anything back from this? That's when they get the sort of green light to just add all the Marvel and Star Wars stuff, everything Disney already owned, even Chris Evans to a little cameo.
Yep.
And I actually
Chris
think
Evans is a good sport, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that's kind of as far as I can tell as well. And who else is a cameo in that movie that kind of popped up out of nowhere after not doing much really in the big light for a while?
Oh, I can't actually remember.
Channing Tatum.
Ah, yes. Yes, of course, I remember.
Right? So... we're starting
lots of connections is what you're saying.
Yeah, lots of connections, you know. Hollywood's the ultimate expression of it's not what you know, it's who you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do see all of these pull-ins that they're going to bring forward with them into this movie. And Free Guy ended up being, a bit of a, what do we want to say? Bit of a success, potentially.
I think people liked it, I guess.
Yeah. It's got 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Right?
Did it even get a cinematic release, or was that straight to Disney Plus?
No, I saw it in the cinema.
Okay, I think I only watched it on Disney
Kale,
Plus.
Kale,
so.
I have a wild thing to tell you. I think I saw it in the cinema twice.
That's not that wild, Nathan. You go to the cinema all the time.
Oh, yes, I do.
You saw Aquaman 2 like 3 times or something.
Yeah, I did. I did. I love Aquaman so much. But, yeah, so it would seem the performance and the general attitude of this film, once Disney were able to acquire it, was probably pretty positive amongst the production people. Ryan Reynolds is just charisma in human form.
Mm-hmm.
And he must have had a great time filming with Sean Levy, because the director of the previous film didn't return, the previous Deadpool movie. You can, when you watch Free Guy, then you watch this, it's like how when you watch a James Gunn movie, it's like, oh, there's Nathan Fillion. Oh, there's Sean Gunn.
There's various other side characters.
There's his wife. No, kidding. But we see a lot of that transfer to this film. And I think it all works, actually. I think this is a really good tight company of actors, Kyle. Is that what we'll call it? Feige must have seen the success of that. And of course, Ryan Reynolds is going to be going over, right? But he's like, right, Ryan, who do you need to make Deadpool 3? And he's like, well, I loved working with the Free Guy people, and they're probably going to look at the performance of Free Guy and go, you know what? Sure, why not? Well, don't bet against Ryan Reynolds, right?
Sure.
And we see what we got, and it just kind of worked, especially if we bring over Channing Tatum with the Gambit connection. Like, it was just wonderful stuff. What do you think? Where does this Deadpool movie, I stress just Deadpool movie, land in the Deadpool trilogy?
Okay, so this is an interesting point, because I think this is, as a Deadpool movie, this is the weakest of the trilogy, which isn't even really a trilogy. I think this is a very funny movie. I want to say that first and foremost. I laughed a lot watching this movie, even the second time, knowing all the jokes, right?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed watching it on streaming.
Yes, but I think when you look at it structurally as a movie, it's just not quite as cohesive as the first two. There's a lot of stuff that on a rewatch you're like, that actually doesn't make any sense. Which, I think we had a little bit of that in the first two movies, but not nearly as much as I had in this one. And I think, like, because it's a comedy, you can kind of excuse that a little bit more. But it's something that the first two movies had better, and we've stepped down.
Right, okay, yeah, I can see that. I think that Deadpool, if you want to expand, that you want to raise the stakes, as it were, kind of just becomes like a narrator, like the Watcher from What If, kind of in different larger events than he. And I think this movie kind of does that in a way. It's almost like he's just been thrown way out over his head. And it's all just because the people upstairs want to bring him into the MCU, which is all very She-Hulk and Kevin Feige drone bot, you know? Yes.
I enjoy all the meta stuff quite a bit. I enjoy all the stuff that's humour just for me and that 80% of the audience will not understand.
Yeah, this movie's I think it's quite a smart comedy.
Yeah.
You've
in
got
some places, for absolutely.
Well, you've got the I'm soaking wet right now and I'm touching myself tonight jokes, right?
Yeah. That's
for everyone.
Yeah, that's your surface level Deadpool stuff. Yeah,
yes.
Dancing to NSYNC. Yeah.
Yes. Then you get the, pegging's new for Disney. There was a rights issue.
They won't let us use cocaine.
They won't let us use cocaine. The Gambit making a bunch of references to never having been in a university he's ever born into.
Get fucked, Fox, I'm going to Disneyland.
Get fucked, Fox, I'm going to Disneyland. We can just list these, F in the chat to Daredevil. Oh, actually, no, we're fine. Actually, it's not that big a deal.
That may be my favourite.
Yeah.
Just Jennifer Garner's delivery of that, say, it's fine. It's
Wesley Snipes being like, I never liked you. And then Ryan Reynolds going, you never did? It all just... That joke will mean nothing to you if you don't know anything about movie history. Mm-hmm. Or just Hollywood gossip, really.
Hollywood gossip, yes.
Yeah. But it also kind of confirms rumours as well, because you can spend a lot of time going, well, what do we really know that, that's the word in the street that they didn't really like each other making that movie. But what do we really know? And in the movie, makes just a very bold-faced admission to it. I'm like, all right, okay, well, good for them. At least they got over it. Because that kind of just cements it as historical fact now that they didn't like each other.
Sure, yeah. Well, what's the story there that Wesley Snipes was kind of a weirdo on the set of Blade 3?
Yeah, so what I've heard or read online is that he would only come out of his trailer for close-up shots.
Okay.
Whenever there's a big wide shot in that film, it's not Wesley Snipes.
Naturally.
thought Ryan Reynolds was just a bit of a fucking goofball. Like he was, and that's the character, by the way. See, if you were to watch Blade Trinity, it's like he's doing another version of the Deadpool Wade that we saw in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah. It's just, that's like a standard Ryan Reynolds guy.
Yeah,
A lot of the things he is in.
And apparently Wesley Snipes didn't like that. Apparently also he wouldn't talk to the director, but he would leave him notes everywhere and he would sign them off as Blade.
Of course.
Which is very strange considering the first two movies have none of that stigma, and Blade 2 was only 2002, and it was only 2 years later they made Blade 3.
Yeah.
Or a year later even, probably. I guess that's what happens, you don't get Guillermo del Toro back.
He knew how to rein in Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, he did, but instead he thought, I'll make a Hellboy movie. And really, when you watch Blade 2, there's a lot of Hellboy in it. Not directly, but just to watch Hellboy and Blade 2 back to back, you're like, yeah, these movies feel they could be a crossover that I would believe, you know? Not this though, Kyle, not this. This isn't a crossover I would have believed. I was shocked. But why don't we do what this movie can, have some structure, and go back to the beginning?
Sure. Okay, well, we open with another very good meta joke, which is they're holding a lampshade over Logan. They're like, how do we do this without disrespecting the memory of Logan? We don't. And we cut Deadpool digging up his grave. Good stuff.
Yep, just digging up his corpse, absolutely.
He has the X there placed for the X-Man, because he's an X-Man.
Because that's what you take out of this, Kyle, isn't it?
Yes.
It's snowy. It's a beautiful downtown North Dakota, according to Wade.
Yeah, well, it was the border with Canada, if I recall correctly.
I think this is the best Deadpool costume.
I concur. It's basically the same with a bit more colour to it. Makes it a bit more vibrant. It's classic stuff.
They've turned up the red saturation a bit. It's not so muted. I'm a fan of muted things traditionally. Look at these Enter the
Don't get me wrong. I think the muted look works for the colour grading of the first two Deadpool movies, but this is a more colourful movie, so we get a more colourful Deadpool.
The copper brass knuckle guards they've added to him. And I think like just highlights around him, like it's all from the TVA. I love the sort of copper, sort of almost like infused adamantium katanas. Like they have a little kind of brass colouring to them. I just think it all looks great. It's the red and the black and the copper, brilliant colour fusion. Mm-hmm. Big fan, Kyle. Big fan of the look. And it's the first thing I noticed watching this because obviously the start of this movie's told out of order, as all good movies are.
Yes, as all the Deadpool movies are, I believe.
Where does Deadpool 2 start again? Oh, he's
with
on
him blowing himself up.
Yeah. That's true. All three Deadpool movies do. And yeah, he's doing the Australian accent. You can't believe Logan's actually dead.
Yes. We see his adamantium skeleton, which is a fun visual.
Yep. Very fun visual. I wonder how many people got that, or if people just thought he had metal claws.
Okay, you cannot have watched these movies and not understand that he has a metal skeleton. We've seen the Weapon X thing happen like 4 times at this point.
Well, no, I think we've only really seen it in like X-Men Origins Wolverine. I know in Apocalypse we see a man running around out of a cage slashing people. We don't know what that means. In general, 16-year-olds didn't know what that meant, I'm going to tell you.
We got a traumatic flashback in X2 to all that stuff. I think it's pretty well established that he has a metal skeleton.
And maybe I just don't have faith in audiences.
Maybe not. The whole plot of the Wolverine was that he was like stripping off the adamantium or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. You're true. It's correct. It is correct to say that. But upon Wade sitting here yapping to the dead corpse of Logan, calling him Hugh for, just doing Australian accents, we get the gorgeous TVA frosted brown glass doors.
Yeah.
I think they're great visuals.
Yeah, they're neat. I think the TVA body armor still looks a bit ropey. I don't know. I like the armor in this film. I think they've leveled everything up for this one because it's not the same from the Loki TV show. No, but it is similar. Yeah, no, it's similar. Still the same sort of aesthetic. Yeah, but we got a bigger budget for this. I like the TVA as time traveling police. Essentially, I know it's meant to be multiversal police, but I think that gets a little bit kind of too hard to focus on. So I'm just going to call them time travel police. Yeah, they bring up the sacred timeline in this movie, which is weird because the whole point of Loki was that the sacred timeline is bullshit. And I think that they don't want you to focus too much on that, and you just want to go. The sacred timeline is the Avengers universe. Yeah, it's the MCU, right? Now, the way this movie ends with him not being part of the MCU, but still
being part of the MCU in like a weird half and half way. Opens up to like the Sacred Timeline now being different, you know? Like it's all the MCU, but the MCU isn't just the Sacred Timeline, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're here to take down Wade. He needs to surrender his weapons, Kyle.
Yeah.
And he says...
Well, they wanted us to start on this fun action sequence, which is fair enough.
Yes, and he says, I'm not going to give you my weapons, but I promise I won't use them on you either. So somehow Wade can rip adamantium apart.
Yeah, I did have this in my notes. He breaks off one of Wolverine's ribs, and I'm like, I don't think that works. I don't think you can break adamantium with your bare hands.
Yeah, maybe the bits of the body that bend the tendons, you know, they've all worn away, so the adamantium's not even really singed together.
Right, okay, sure.
The skeleton would just fall apart, but again, who knows? Who knows, Kel? He's throwing fingers, he's throwing ribs.
Yeah, he uses the spine and skull as like a mace.
Yes, and...
Or a flail, I guess that's what that word is.
Wolverine doesn't have adamantium teeth.
No, I have this in my notes. And obviously he doesn't, because we've seen his teeth before, but just seeing it as a skull, it looks a bit weird. Yeah, it is a little bit weird, yeah. So, this fight section happens over Insync's Bye Bye Bye, which is just great choice. I was in a karaoke bar for Halloween and that came on and the house went wild, Kyle. And just, you know, it's just a fun little jokey joke to see Deadpool doing the silly dances, you know? It is, and we like it. Dancing action. But you know, he takes Logan's claws and nervous system, muscle structure that lets them eject and attaches them to his wrists. Yeah. And then we get hit. Doesn't make any sense. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And then we get hooked on the title card behind him, and then we cut to a freeze frame, moving camera. He's not proud of himself, and there's a whiff of necrophilia about all this. But let him explain. Yes. Well, this gets into the weirdness in this film, which is Deadpool's character arc, quote unquote. Yeah, he went from someone who had needlessly retired, well, because the Avengers wouldn't have him, and it depressed him. Yeah, because he wanted to join the Avengers for some reason. Because he was like, I need to be a superhero. But the end of the last movie was already that, you know, like he'd found family, his X-Force team, and he was going to go off and be like a team. And that was his found family, and that was the whole thing, right? And he saved Vanessa in time travel shenanigans, and they were going to name their kid Cher. Yeah. It's been what, like, when did Deadpool 2 come out? 2018? Yeah. Yeah, so it's been what, like 6 or 7 years since then. But it does seem like a pretty drastic change from the end of the last movie. Yep. Well, he used Cable's time machine at the same time that he saved Vanessa. Because it's like, right, we cut to credits, but actually no. Wade done all his time travel stuff, killing Ryan Reynolds and shooting X-Men Origins Deadpool in the head. Yeah. And he also went to visit Happy Hogan. Yeah. It seems weird because he says like he's doing this for Vanessa, even though Vanessa clearly doesn't care. I don't know. They're broken up at the start of this movie, and it doesn't matter to the movie, and it's a bit convoluted, and I don't know why they bothered. Yeah, I would agree. I like the Happy Hogan stuff, though. The Happy Hogan stuff is like the inciting moment to get this movie's ball rolling. Yeah, I don't think Deadpool needs a character arc in this movie, for the record. Like, who cares? He's a funny clown man. Wolverine can do all the heavy lifting on the character side. Which, for what it's worth, I think he does. Yeah, so, I don't know. A lot of the Deadpool character stuff in this movie, when they try and take him seriously, just doesn't really work for me in the way that it more dead in the previous movies. This movie feels like 60% Deadpool, 40% Wolverine. Yeah, well, this is clearly still a Deadpool movie. Yeah, but even with the title. But I'm happy that I could feel comfortable in saying that Wolverine definitely is a co-star and not just a supporting cast. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, but in terms of like the structure of the movie, this is still a Deadpool movie. Yes. It's a bit like Captain America Civil War, you know? It's definitely a Captain America film. We're going to our birthday party, we're selling cars, Kel. He has a hair system, a summer balayage. Yeah, which is stapled to his head. Which I think is quite viscerally uncomfortable. Peter is still around and is a much larger part of this movie for reasons I don't understand, other than they like the guy who plays Peter. Yeah, neither do I, but I'm going to just kind of ignore it. I actually barely mention him in my notes, to be honest. But
we get a knock at the door at the party, and the strippers are here, Kyle. And they're the TVA agents.
Well, we should mention there's a couple characters missing from this birthday party, which is, like, noteworthy. First of all, obvious cut, TJ Miller is no longer around.
Yeah, he's no longer around. No Brad
Some things
Pitt.
have happened in the intervening years.
Yes,
It's good old TJ Miller.
Good old TJ Miller, we've alluded to it in the past ones, but goodbye TJ. You didn't quite make the cut, no more Weasel.
Yeah. And Cable is no longer around
Didn't taste well in the
because
focus groups, Kyle.
I think it's more likely that Josh Brolin was too expensive to show up for a cameo.
I think it was either get Josh Brolin or get Chris Evans, Kyle. There's your
I
choice.
think they chose correctly, to
Yeah,
be fair.
yeah, so do I.
And also, Domino's Zazie Beetz is no longer around either.
Yeah, she's in Joker now.
She was in Joker before she was in... I know one. Was she? I can't remember the times on that.
Same year, I think.
Okay, yeah. Either way, she's not around anymore.
Not around anymore, absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, it's just... the bearded guy from the bar is here.
Yeah, Butch, I think his name is.
I remember he's in the first two movies, but
Yes, yeah.
I don't know why the hell he's at this party.
He's, like, there because TJ Miller isn't there, I guess. Like, that would be TJ Miller, but it's this guy now instead.
I suppose I'd been fine
Also-
without him.
Also, Shatterstar is there for the memes.
Why the hell is Shatterstar here? They don't even mention it.
No, not Terry Crews, not
Brad Pitt.
Acid Spit Man.
Oh yeah, Bill Skarsgård. He's too busy being
Yeah.
Pennywise. Oh yeah, no, it's insane, the people that didn't return, but then Shatterstar's here.
Yeah.
This would be like if Mongal was here and it was a Suicide Squad film.
Yeah, no, it's weird.
It's just insane to me. But listen, we move past all this, right? We accept that Blind Al, great holdover.
Mm-hmm.
She wishes that Death would come back and finish the job, but didn't have the guts to do. I love her quips against Wade. She hates Wade. And then we get like quips about cocaine. I don't really care about the do you want to build a snowman, Forrest Bump.
Yeah, that was one of the ones they used in the trailer.
Yeah, it's kind of done to death. I don't care. The cocaine gag's kind of not that funny. It's just sort of passive comedy just to keep the tone up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get a knock at the door and the strippers are here, Kyle. And it's the TVA, but Wade doesn't know who they are. And he's, he goes out and he's like, well, okay, right, I want to feel a lot of tension. I want eye contact, not with you, but with you and the mask on. I might not be able to see them, but I can feel them. And then they they get a little bit violent. And he's like, he makes the pegging joke. He does a little look at the camera. I think all this is just really tight comedy. I love everything about this scene in the hall, Kyle.
Yeah, there is kind of like, and I guess this is an issue in the previous movies, is how much does Deadpool know about like movies and stuff? Like he knows who all the Avengers are, and he knows what the MCU is, but he doesn't know what the TVA is. He knows what Loki episode 1 or Loki season 1 episode 5 is.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know what the TVA is.
He knows what the script needs you to know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You could say maybe he did know who the TVA were when he opened the door. He was just fucking
He's
with
just
them
messing with
immediately.
them.
Yeah.
That is entirely possible.
Yeah. But then they start fighting. Then a guy opens a portal behind him at his apartment door, drags him through, leaves his hair system on the floor, though, Kyle.
Yes.
And we wake up in an interrogation room and we meet one of my favourite characters in the film.
Yeah. I mean, he has a lot of charisma. As a character with motivations, he's a bit nebulous.
Yes. I'm just meaning...
But he is fun.
Yeah, he's fun, exactly. Yeah. Like you say, Kel, the structure of this movie is a little bit all over the place, but just as an entity, as a piece in the Marvel arsenal, they could bring this character forward to do something else. I love it. I think they constructed a good character. Now, in an earlier draft of the film, Kyle, this was Mobius.
That makes sense. Yeah. Cars, man. What's
Yeah,
his name?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Ah.
Why have I got Eugene Levy in my head? It's not
No,
Eugene Levy.
Levy. Hold on. Cast of Loki.
Wilson something?
Owen Wilson. That's
Owen Wilson. There we
Why
go.
the hell did we forget Owen Wilson's name?
I don't know.
So yeah, this was going to be Mobius M. Mobius.
That would have been a very different movie because he's not a bad guy.
Yes, but I also think this might have been before like Loki season 2 and stuff had been fully worked out, right? Because he like goes away to live with jet skis or something.
Yes. He loves jet skis.
He loves
yes.
jet skis. Or maybe at one point they were going to have him be the hunter Hunter B-15 role, and then just decided they were going to use Hunter B-15. Owen Wilson's expensive, but I love Mr. Paradox, you know. And he's like, you soiled yourself when he was unconscious, and was like, I wasn't unconscious. And he's like, where are you? And he's like, okay, let me take you to the control center of the TVA. This must be just some sort of department office. I imagine there's a million of these rooms in the TVA, such as Loki would have his belief.
Well, we did see like an entire city complex.
Yeah,
Loki when he looked out the window.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I like the set. It feels like the bridge of a starship in Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm.
If you recolor this, I feel that this could be the Normandy. You get the upper bridge, and you get the lower sections as you're walking towards Joker.
It's not quite as 70s retro on the Normandy.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just redress it. I think the basic structure's all there. And yeah, so you're getting taken up to the front, and he's like, my bosses want you to join the MCU, and he does a salute.
He sees Cap. He sees Thor crying over him on the screen.
Yeah, reused footage from Thor: The Dark World, everyone. Don't get too excited.
But they do edit it to put his like scar in from the later movies, so they have touched it up a bit.
Yeah, that scar confused me because I actually couldn't tell if it was Chris Hemsworth or if it was the actor who plays him in the theatre bits in Asgard. This is all well and good though, and we really lean into the fact that we're going to the MCU, see all the trailer footage from all the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And he does his salute and all. He's very happy. I'm going to tell my homies, my friends, they've all been upgraded to the MCU. And he's like, no, you're not going there because that's all going to die.
Yeah, this is when they introduce another like confused element of the plot, which is that a universe starts to degrade when its anchor being dies.
Yeah.
Which, couple issues with this. First of all, what does that mean? Second of all, isn't Logan set in a different universe? Question mark.
I think I know I think the anchor being thing is supposed to be a bit of meta referencing. So
yeah, it
like,
is. For
the
sure,
anchor
but
being is just like your franchise lead, ostensibly. So like when they stop making Blade movies, what the hell happens to the Wesley Snipes Blade universe? I don't mean that in reference to this movie. I just mean forget with Deadpool Wolverine. I just mean those three movies. Or like the Ron Perlman Hellboy movies. Well, we've stopped making Hellboy movies. What the fuck's happening with that universe right now? Oh, just nothing. I guess that universe is dead now, actually, because we're not making them. It's just supposed to be quite meta. What happened when they stopped making Michael Keaton Batman movies, you know?
Well, he showed back up in The Flash.
Yeah, but for decades there was nothing happening, right? I think it's just supposed to be a meta explanation for universes the franchise is gone.
I agree. I understand that. It's just like, if you're trying to engage with it on anything other than the meta level, it kind of falls apart.
I mean, I think if you go into the area of who the fuck is the anchor being, isn't Logan and the X-Men all in different universes, and you know the Colossus is different than Deadpool. We've
had this discussion through this entire podcast, and the timeline of these movies makes no sense.
Yeah, but that's not really that's not this movie's fault, you know.
No. It's just, like who's the anchor being of the MCU? Apparently it's Wanda. Someone behind the scenes said that. Doesn't make sense because isn't she currently dead? Question mark.
That's where franchises get a bit messy because, like, in terms of traditional franchising, they're all separate franchises. The Iron Man franchise, the Captain America franchise, the Black Panther, the Doctor Strange, the Spider-Man, they're all distinct franchises. They're just choosing to allow their franchise characters to appear in other franchise properties as crossovers, and we're just going to lace in all the continuity because me, Marvel Studios, is one company. I own all these characters, so I can weave it in however I like. But technically, they're all distinct franchises under the Marvel brand. But then because the MCU is choosing to link all the franchises together, it becomes a bit muddy. But really, the anchor being in the Doctor Strange franchise would be Doctor Strange, and then in Captain America, it's Steve Rogers, or probably now it would be Sam Wilson. I think it gets confusing when you talk about franchises changing their leads. But
that's what I'm saying. And listen, I do not expect this anchor being concept to ever come up again.
Yeah, I think it was just a meta thing to acknowledge the death of the Foxverse, really.
Yeah.
But the universe is dying because Logan's dead, and everyone on the TV is very sad, and they can quote the movie off by heart, because the TVA are us, Kyle. We are Marvel, we are the audience, we are upgrading Deadpool, we want to bring him across, don't we?
And I didn't notice this the first time because I hadn't seen Logan, but they do play like the Logan soundtrack in this moment. It's like a little Easter egg.
Yeah, they do, yeah. All very effective for me, for what it's worth. He's not allowed to bring his friends. I don't know why he's not allowed to bring his friends. They could avoid all of this if they just let him bring them.
This is the paradox is dumb. If he just said, okay, sure, I don't care if you bring along 6 people, it's fine.
But Kyle, he doesn't want to have this universe die in 3,000 years, which apparently, because things don't just end, things wind down, universes slowly decline. you know?
And Paradox is impatient.
And he's impatient, so he wants to be the mercy killer, because he is the mercy killer.
He wants to bring it back. If we're looking at, he wants to go back to start of Loki TVA, where there's just one timeline.
Yeah, because he was like, we used to prune these things, you know, we used to be quick and efficient, but now we have fucking human rights and stuff, you know, which is kind of ties into Loki's reforms a little bit, though they never mention Loki, which kind of surprises me actually.
It is weird that Loki never comes up, given that he's now the god of time or whatever.
Yeah, like he's the head of the TV. Hunter B-15 directly works. I guess like the film kind of half acknowledges though that this is all happening sort of downstairs in the TVA.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of puts perspective into the level that Deadpool is. Like, what the hell is a merc with a mouth got anything to do with Loki, you know?
Sure.
Why do they want him in the MCU? Well, it's because we, the audience, want him in the MCU. It's all kind of meta and contradictory, you know? I think that's where the structure of the movie kind of is a bit messy. But I actually think, because I think, honestly, 50% of this movie is just fan service.
Yes, well, that's why I say, like, this, while I'm nitpicking all of this stuff as a nerd, it's a funny movie, and I'll acknowledge that. Most of the jokes about all this stuff, I laugh.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna fit out Wade with his new uniform that we referenced earlier on. We get a nice suit up montage where he gets. I think his enthusiasm for going to the MCU is contagious. Like, I love it. I love how up for it is, right? But then when he finds Paradox is like, you're not fucking bringing your friends. That's where he like punches him in the face and steals his portal device.
Yeah.
And we're going to go hunt for a new anchor being for Earth 1005, which is the Earth that he's from, as opposed to 616, which is MCU Prime.
Sure it is. It's definitely not Earth 199999, which is what it used to be.
Oh, isn't that only because the comics had to try and canonize the MCU somehow?
Yes.
Yeah, and the movies don't care about the comics. I think it's something that people don't talk about enough. The comics are just the source material for the movies to do whatever the hell they like, right?
Yeah.
And we're gonna find a new anchor being a new Wolverine, because why would that work? I don't think it would work, but I guess we don't know anything, so I guess it could work.
Well, yeah, Deadpool just thinks it. To be fair, there's never any confirmation that it would work. It's just Deadpool thinks it might.
Oh yeah, well yeah, no, yeah, there's no confirmation that it would work. Deadpool just thinks that it might. Yeah, you're correct. But we're gonna cue the montage, Kyle.
It's a very good montage.
I quite appreciate that there's no big dramatic, reveal of Hugh Jackman's here, you know? It's not like when Blade or anyone walks out later. It's all very flat, matter of fact. He's the co-bill of the movie. Here he is. It's just another Wolverine appearance, you know?
Yeah. Well, this one, the first one we cut to specifically is Shark King Wolverine.
Yeah, which is a subversion. But what I mean is like a dramatic reveal, but like starting from the feet panning up. But it's just back of the head, turn around, it's me, I'm here, and it's when he jumps off the stool as he comics accurate Short King.
To be fair, I think he's actually shorter than canonical Wolverine. But
yeah, he's comically shorter, yeah.
But yeah, lots of good stuff in this montage.
Apocalypse Wolverine, where he has like all the big shaggy 80s hair.
Yeah, why don't we just go through and say what's your favourite Wolverine in this montage?
Oh, Tannenbaum.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm going to say my favourite, because it's so funny, is Wolverine on the cross in the Field of Skulls. It's such an insane visual.
Yeah, apparently it's like a comic book cover.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
It's just very silly.
Yeah, to think there's a universe where that's all that exists is pretty bleak, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay, it's not that we don't like you, we're just going in a different direction. Like, lots of funny casting jokes.
The Cavalry, obviously.
Yeah, Cavalry is insane. I got a big cheer for me in the cinema, let me say. Well, not, I'm respectful, but internally I was cheering. Great. Power of Love is playing through all of this.
Yeah, I will say on the Cavalry, I'm fine with it as a gag in the same way I'm fine with John Krasinski showing up in Multiverse of Madness. I would not want Henry Cavill to be Wolverine.
Do you not think he would do a good job?
No.
I understand your intellectual consistency in saying that. I don't think that that's a crazy take to just prefer if they didn't do that. And I think that now he's cameoed, he will not be.
Yeah.
But had he not done this cameo, I would have been open to him being a future casting choice.
I don't know. I think there's better roles for, if you're going to use a Henry Cavill, there's better roles for him in the MCU than Wolverine. I don't think he's a very good fit for Wolverine.
Just make him MCU Superman and just not acknowledge it.
There's like several MCU Supermen he could be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Uh-huh.
I still think we should make him Captain Britain. That's my vote.
Yeah, of course you do. But I love the line, we'll treat you so much better than those shit fucks down the street. Now, that gets a big sad laugh from me, Kyle, because, oh god, it's still raw after Black Adam for me.
Yep.
looking forward to James Gunn's Superman movie, but see when they've referenced they'll treat him so much better, it still feels like we're twisting the knife on the DCEU a bit.
Sure, yeah.
And I feel so bad for Henry. But yeah, it was lovely to see him do this. And he even does his Mission Impossible sort of cocking of the fists as he goes to bring it.
At that point, he's also cocking the claws.
Yeah, cocking the claws out. And he punches Deadpool back through a portal. But yeah, I know I said my favourite was the black and tan one, but I just want to linger on that because I think it's such a good look. And I think that there's a version of this movie where they could have just used that look as opposed to the yellow and blue they went with.
Yeah.
And it would have looked great. I think it just looks very minimal, simplistic. It's not got big plastic padded shoulders or chests on it. It's just thin fabrics. But it doesn't look like one-piece spandex either. I just think it's a great minimalistic look. We even get a sheen of the Incredible Hulk through his claws. And see, just a bit of fan service. Things that you thought you would never see. I remember people crazily thought that Wolverine was going to show up in Avengers Age of Ultron because there was a shot in the trailer where Hawkeye brings out 3 arrows at once and puts them through the bow. So people...
Yeah, they're like, it's a sign.
Not that it's a sign. People thought in the trailer that was actually Wolverine's claws.
Ah, right, okay.
But in 2015, you can maybe say literacy for studio ownership was lower than it is now, though I still don't think it's obtusely high now. But I guess it doesn't matter now because they're all owned together. But to go from there to actually seeing the Incredible Hulk reflect, I know it's just a reflection, right? But to say that you could see in universe in the MCU, Wolverine and the Hulk have shared a scene together, briefly, it's nice. And then Loki... Wade does his Loki speech from Avengers 2012 where he goes, I am a god, you foul creature. He goes, I am Marvel Jesus and I will not be... As, Hulk throws him against a tree and kills him the way Logan and Mystique dies.
Lots of cute stuff in this movie.
Lots of cute stuff. But again, 50% of this movie is fan service, so we've got to keep flying through it because we would be here all day just talking about it and it'd be my fault. But we eventually get to the one that he thinks looks promising because he's just sitting at a bar, I guess. Mm-hmm. And...
we are contractually obligated to point out as a bar owned by Greg Hanville.
Yeah, we are. Now, the joke I was going to make, and you've kind of just jumped it over me, so I can't make it now, was going to be the variant he finds is Greg Hempel of Still Game.
Good old Victor McDade.
Good old Victor McDade of Craig Lang, Mary Hill. Good stuff. Absolutely wonderful. I saw this in the trailer, but it's like just for like a half a second. You barely see him, right? And everyone on Twitter was like freezing it in the Glasgow Twitter scene. It was like, oh my god, is this him? And just good casting. You know, he lives in Scotland now, but he lived in Canada for 20 years and came back to Scotland after they emigrated. Mm-hmm. But he must have still lots of contacts in Canada. Because obviously Ryan Reynolds is Canadian.
Yep.
Casting.
I didn't point this out also. Obviously I live in Canada. And there's a joke at the start of the fight where he's fighting people and the guy's like, oh yeah, Wolverine was the only good thing to ever come out of Canada. And then Deadpool kills him violently.
And says...
And I got a big cheer in my audience.
Yeah. This is get your country's name out of my mouth.
Get my country's name out of your fucking mouth.
Yeah. I bet. So this is good Scottish-Canadian synergy here, Kyle, right? But... Wade starts just lambasting this Logan, so you're coming with me. Why are you depressed? You know, you're basically just gonna try and just kidnap him, which is quite different if you went to a Logan that kind of was in a universe where maybe he would benefit leaving.
Yeah. Here's the thing with this, right? Surely it's not that hard to find a cooperative Logan. There's plenty of cooperative Logans out there.
There's 1,000,000,000,000 billion timelines.
Go find Logan from the end of the Wolverine. That guy was up for anything.
Absolutely. No, because he's dead, Kel. It's all the one timeline.
You have a time, it's fine, whatever.
It's fine. We get into a bit of a fight. We pull the gun out and Logan, and he's like, do it, and I'm going to down this whiskey. He gets limp claws. Very common, Wolverine's over 40. But as he
Which,
pulls...
as you say, ruined the joke in Logan.
But yeah, ruins the joke in Logan, exactly, right? I think a lot of stuff about him being here is a bit weird. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. When he pulls out the gun, we get wide shots of the bar again. And from the point on, we don't see Greg ever again. Is he too busy, Kyle? Is he too busy for multiple days of shooting? I think he's too busy for Ryan Reynolds as the take I'm taking away.
You think there was some sort of behind-the-scenes drama?
No.
Victor McDade didn't get along with Ryan Reynolds.
Yes, I think they had to do pick-up shots or something and they had to film on a separate day. And by this point, Greg had already flown back to Scotland.
Back to Scotland,
yeah. And they just couldn't get him. But listen, something that no one else would notice because they just probably think the guy behind the bar is like an extra that's just like got
just some random extra, not a local celebrity.
Yeah, not a Scottish celebrity who's married to Miss Hooley from Ballamore. Right?
This podcast is so accessible to general audiences.
They have a travel documentary series where the two of them drive around Scotland in a camper van visiting little places. Little distilleries and little villages and towns, and they see it. It's great.
It sounds lovely.
It is lovely, Kyle. It is lovely, and everyone should watch it. And they go back to the island they fell. Anyway, sorry. But we knock out Logan, and he's got a Wolverine suit underneath it, and he's like, wow, that only took 20 fucking years. And then we open the portal, we go back to the TVA, and he seems to have taken off all the civvy clothes. I don't know how he fits all of that shit under there, but apparently he does.
Yeah.
It's quite a big costume. And Paradox just must have smell or reality recall for all universes.
Well, okay. To be fair, they do say that this Wolverine is quite famous for being terrible.
But what makes this Logan visually distinct from any other Wolverine?
Well, the costume.
But this costume is an adaptation that's probably existed. There's a billion million timelines. You're trying to say this is one unique costume he only wore in one timeline?
Yes.
Right, that's what you're saying. Okay. Okay. Okay.
That's the only possible explanation, Nathan.
Yeah, that's got to be it. But welcome to the MCU, by the way. You're joining a bit of a low point.
Good job.
Very brave of Feige to allow all these punches in this movie, by the way, because he definitely would have got saved whether these references could fly.
I mean, okay. I don't know if it's that brave, to be honest. I think, like, public perception of the MCU is not great right now, and leading into that is, like, just what you have to do.
I don't know, because they've made, like, course corrections. Like, for instance, everyone hated the MCU logo coming up at the start of all their Disney Plus shows, and then they just adapted to that and made a new logo.
Yes, well, that's after this movie's come out, though.
Is that after this movie's come out?
Yeah, the first time I remember seeing that is Agatha All Along, which just came out last month.
Yeah, no, I suppose. Right, okay. But still, lots of... They could have just fucking put a brave face on it and we'll let you make your cocaine jokes, but, like, please don't actually try and undermine the brand.
Uh-huh.
I think it's more brave than we're giving them credit for. Like, yes, you could say, well, you know, leaning into it, that's a choice. I just don't think that's the choice I expected them to take.
I mean, they already did that at the end of She-Hulk, though. That was, like, the whole gag at the end of She-Hulk.
True, but I think that they kind of, back then, thought everyone was laughing with them.
Uh-huh.
Whereas now I feel like very much before we've been laughing at them, and this movie's sort of an admission that we're being laughed at.
Okay.
Paradox is like, you think this was going to work? Like, just picking a new anchor being, and yeah, this is the worst Wolverine you ever could have possibly picked. We should have mentioned Greg didn't like Wolverine very much. He was like, get out of my bar, like you can't have any more drinks.
Yeah, but I saw some podcasts that pointed this out. Considering what we learn later about what this Wolverine did, his reaction to Wolverine in his bar is actually pretty tame.
Yes, that is quite tame.
Considering that we later learn that this Wolverine was like a serial killer who just murdered a bunch of people for no reason.
Well, possibly, like, he's worried if he says something too drastic, like, he'll get killed. He doesn't want to die.
Yeah, but then why is he even sassing him at all?
Maybe he's trying to find a middle ground. He's a milquetoast monarch centrist.
Right, okay, sure. That's a reference for no one.
It's a reference for future video releases. But we get pruned, don't we, Kyle? We go to the void.
Yes.
And then Wolverine's like, what the hell did you do with him? And he gets pruned. So Paradox is like, oh, that was close. By the way, he's eating sandwiches during all this talk, you know, because pruning makes him peckish. He's eating his feelings.
Uh-huh.
But then we're about to have a fight in the void, Kyle, and Hell's Bells start playing, and we love AC/DC.
It starts playing, but this fight scene is edited weirdly, where the music starts cutting in and out for random reasons.
It's a weird remix of the song, obviously, to like shorten it for the sake of the fight. I think it's just a poorly cut up version.
Yeah, they are fighting in front of the destroyed 20th Century Fox logo, which is a great visual gag in the background.
Yeah, it's a really good visual gag. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. This is the dumping ground for everything that in the Disney acquisition, things they just didn't want.
Also, the CN Towers in the background as well. So
that's strange. How do you feel about that?
It's just a fun little Canadian gag. It's fine.
How do you feel about it being in the void? Do people in Canada not like the CN Tower?
Nah, people are like the CN Tower. It's a big tall tower.
Yeah, but
what's not to love?
Yeah. Jack Jarvis was threw up scrambled eggs over his grandson children.
Yeah, good stuff.
So after their fight's over, because I can only talk about fight choreography so much, we're told to stop fighting because a hooded figure's here on a piece of set on a green screen.
We really need to speed up this recap, by the way.
Yeah, we do.
Just looking at our recording time.
Yeah, we do. That's why I try to jump through that fight as fast as possible. And
you're not bringing up your weird CGI sword complaint.
No, we're not bringing it up. There was some bad CGI sword clipping, and I've took a video of it and sent it to Kelly. It's including my notes as a video file, but we're not going to talk about it, right? Sword looks great, So, the second I see that this Chris Evans doesn't have a collar, Kel, I know who it is.
I'm willing to admit that this one did kind of catch me by surprise.
Okay.
It more caught me by surprise when Chris Evans showed up at all, because I was like, oh, Chris Evans, he still does these movies, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think he did these anymore. Thought he was done.
But first the first thing I thought when I heard his voice is, oh, he's doing another one of these Free Guy cameos. That was what I first thought. Because I see all of this in business terms, I was like, oh, Free Guy doing a cameo. But yeah, when he jumped down on the superhero landing and his hood came down and he didn't have a hood up, because I thought they might have just done a cheap Captain America joke, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, we're doing something else here. And I was like, please be Johnny. I couldn't quite believe it, to be honest, because obviously by the time this had come out, I think we had already started doing Enter the X-Verse.
Yes, we had.
And I think we'd probably done Fantastic Four. We've obviously seen these movies before, at least I had. So this just felt all very well timed.
No, it's good. It's a good gag. It's a very good gag.
And Pyro is here.
Chris Evans is really funny, and I don't think he gets to be funny enough.
He is. I think
because I love him as Captain America, but Captain America is a very serious role.
Yeah, it's like when they discovered that Chris Hemsworth was funny, and they just made Thor do bits.
Which, to be fair, I'm glad they didn't start making Captain America do bits.
Yeah, kind of awkward nerd Superman out of time is good.
Yeah,
it's good.
I understood that reference.
Exactly. What? Steve Rogers wouldn't know what the hell to make of this place. There's so many, what's a 20th Century Fox?
I mean, the thing with this movie opening up all these weird cameos is I would love to just see any character show up in this movie and I'd be down,
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So Pyro shows up on a Fantastic Four hover car, but not the one from Rise
from
of the
the
Silver
50s,
Surfer.
yeah.
And he immediately takes down Human Torch because firepower's a little bit of fun irony there. Wolverine has a fight with Sabretooth because apparently it's his brother, but it's the one from X-Men 1 that no one really cared about, or indeed they acknowledged they were brothers, so that fight ended immediately, which I think is a good audience subversion. I didn't really care about the fight anyway, to be quite honest with you. I feel like it was only built up for a very, very niche group of people. If it was Liev Schreiber, maybe I would have cared more, but wasn't.
And then Deadpool does, the speech from the thing. I can't remember what it's from. Mad Max, that's it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I have the Wolverine. You need to come to me, you need to go through him. Chris Evans doesn't just die here, though. He kind of goes to be in a little bit more of the movie, which I'm happy with. I know maybe there's an argument to say maybe should have been more of it, but make a reference that he was tanking the budget. But we reach the base, Kyle, which is a giant dead Ant-Man, don't we?
Yes, it's a great visual.
Great visual. Don't really linger on it much. It's just, when I watched it for this, I mean, when it went on Disney Plus, I didn't even really think about it. I put it in my notes way later on, because I was like, oh yeah, I just kind of forgot about it. It just becomes part of the background.
Making little bits about how Paul Rudd doesn't age.
Yeah, Paul Rudd finally aged. And in here, Kyle, there's just a who's who of ex-Fox dead people.
We've got Azazel.
Not played by
Lady
Jason Fleming, but you know what?
No.
I love his visual of a devil that teleports.
Lady Deathstrike is in the background.
Yeah, she is.
There's a guy in a stripy shirt who looks like a Popeye villain.
There's someone who looks like TV's Blade. And when I saw him in the trailer, I thought that's all we're going to get for Blade, because Wesley Snipes doesn't like Ryan Reynolds. And I don't think Ryan Reynolds likes Wesley Snipes.
There is, importantly, a Juggernaut, but it isn't Vinnie Jones.
Yep, and it isn't the one from Deadpool 2 either.
But it is dressed like Vinnie Jones' Juggernaut.
Yeah, This is this year's Juggernaut.
And it's just some guy.
But listen, it's fine, who cares? The helmet's relevant to the plot later on, right?
Yeah. I do wish it was Vinnie Jones, though.
I honestly, I
guess he just didn't want to do it.
I know. I don't have the Vinnie Jones appreciation gene that everyone else seems to have. I don't give a shit if Vinnie Jones ever comes back. I enjoy that both Wade and Logan refer to Charles as Chuck when they see a bald figure in a wheelchair coming down the ramp. And he goes, I don't think that's Chuck. Make an ableism joke won't go over with the woke mob because the bald lady isn't disabled. We learn this is Cassandra Cain, who's apparently the twin of...
Cassandra Nova.
Oh, shit. Who's Cassandra Cain? Batman? Batgirl? Batwoman?
Cassandra Cain is a Batgirl,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Or a Batwoman.
Cassandra Nova, rather. Tell us a little bit about her.
She's basically Professor X, if evil.
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much it. Killed Chuck in the womb, apparently very edgy. But then also complains that Chuck never bothers to look for her. You killed your...
Chuck killed her in the womb. In the comics, anyway. And then she came back later via psychic magic. You know how it's silly that he dies in Last Stand and then comes back by possessing his twin?
Yes.
That wasn't previously in it. That's basically what Cassandra Nova does in the comics.
Ah, okay, interesting. That's why she's bald.
Yeah. Well, in the comics, she's a bit more, like, deformed, where she's, like, kind of hunched over and kind of, like, malshapen a little bit.
I've seen some images of her.
Yeah. As opposed to in this, where she is otherwise just a sort of normal person, but bald.
She has prosthetic fingers on this actor, so she does. So she has extra long fingers to make it even more otherworldly when she puts the hands through people's heads.
Just before you get cancelled, I believe the actor is non-binary.
Oh, sorry.
Just to throw that
Apologies. My apologies. I actually forgot their name then.
We don't want to get cancelled by the woke mob, Nathan.
No, we don't. No, we certainly do not. That's very true. I apologise to Emma Corrin.
Yes, but just for the record, we're going to say she because the character is a she, okay?
Yes, the character is a she. They are 28 years old. Fun. Right, okay, sorry, I was doing my research because I dropped the ball there. But yes, so she, in reference to Cassandra Nova, is what we'll try and keep on topic for the sake of this. Really kind of fun, little bit unhinged villain.
Yes.
Likes just sort of being like a mobster for nothing.
Yeah, I think she's a fun villain. I think, again, this is an issue with the movie. It doesn't need two villains, but they should have picked one.
You need someone to be running away from when you're in the void.
Yeah, I guess. I just, like... I don't know.
Would you rather they're just permanently on the run from the Deadpool Corps?
I would rather not bother with the Deadpool Corps, to be honest. I don't think they add anything to the movie.
Well, who do you think the underworld villain would be when you're in the void to, like, add a sense of...
I'm more thinking, like, when we come back to Cassandra Nova and she sends them back to his reality, we should be done with Cassandra Nova at that point.
I agree with you, only because I think that we should have Cassandra Nova come back, whereas this feels like she's probably dead now. And I think the MCU has a big problem with just killing off villains at the end of their film. Yeah,
like, it should have committed to Paradox being the final bad guy as opposed to Cassandra Nova showing up and deciding to F-shell for no reason.
Yeah. I'm happy though that Paradox can come back.
Yeah, well, I guess. Anyway, they escape the base because Eliath from Loki Season 1 Episode 5 shows up.
Yep. By the way, Johnny Storm got his flesh and innards ripped out by Cassandra Nova.
Yes.
We have a line
graphic
here where Cassandra says that, mutants are, dangerous, whatever, or something like that. I can't quite remember. Or mutants are in danger, and then Logan says we're mutants, we're never safe, which is fun after many movies of X-Men not really dealing with this. We're returning to that. A mutant discussion. Feels like a flashback to days of old. But yeah, they use a sentinel leg to fly away when Eliath is approaching the Ant-Man base, which is a little bit of irony there, I think.
Yep.
Fuck the Avengers, because apparently Wolverine doesn't like the Avengers.
Yeah, I guess his universe has Avengers.
Yep, I bet they do. He comes from like a more comic book idealistic universe.
I guess so, yeah, because he does wear the costume.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. We meet Mary Poppins.
This is where we meet Mary Poppins and we meet Nice Pool, who's Ryan Reynolds with a man bun.
Doesn't wear a mask, because, come on, really?
Yeah.
He has gold-plated Desert Eagles.
Yes.
At this moment,
Nice Pool is a very strange gag in this movie.
At this moment, Deadpool decides he wants to kill Nice Pool.
Uh-huh.
He gives her...
He shits all over Honda.
He lets them borrow his car, right? And they go a little road trip, and they've got Avril Lavigne playing. I think this movie is a great soundtrack, by the way. Just banger after banger after banger. Hugh Jackman does a massive, massive rant at Wade in the car, doesn't he?
It's good. It's a good rant.
It's one of God's best jokes that you can't die, but that's on all of us.
Hugh Jackman he's still great as Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like,
he
still knows how to do it.
I can't believe they pulled it off, to be honest. I really thought because the whole thing with Logan was like, I'm getting too old for this shit. Not just like in the film, but like behind the scenes. And then...
Yeah, but no. He's back. He's bringing his A game to this very silly movie.
Yeah, good for him. Absolute professional.
Because obviously the dynamic here is that Wolverine is the straight man to Deadpool's craziness, and it just works. They just bounce off each other really
perfectly.
well.
And it's almost like a love-hate thing, because when they're fighting in the car, what starts playing, Kyle?
Oh, it's the song from Grease. I can't remember which one.
You're the One That I Want.
Yes, that's it.
And it's very creative use of the space and the song, and they're stabbing each other. But they kind of...
I think this might be the best fight scene in the movie.
Really?
The one in the car?
I think it's fun. It's really fun. There's a little bumper sticker that says coexist.
Yeah. There is, like, the thing, which is there's a bunch of fights, there's a couple of fights between Deadpool and Wolverine, which don't really have any stakes because neither of them can die.
Yeah, like I say, half this movie is just fan service.
Yeah. I mean, Deadpool turns to the camera and is like, get your sock ready because it's about to get good.
Yeah, exactly. Get your sock ready, nerds. Yeah, right. But this fight seems to do them both in, and they both just pass out in the car, wrapped up in I think Logan wins. He wraps Wade up in just seatbelts.
Yes, well, because this time Deadpool's the one trying to attack him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So he wraps Wade up in seatbelts and he falls asleep, and then Logan, I think, just passes out in the car as well. But then someone mysterious gets in the car and drives them away to like a hidden Scarlet Witch base.
Yeah, it's some sort of Scarlet Witch base. We get a little Wanda cameo in a statue.
Yeah, very nice. And we wake up, and they're like, where are we? By the way, the bed they wake up in is the Incredible Hulk's bed from Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah. And where are we? We don't know where we are. There's booze. Logan's happy. And then Elektra shows up and slashes swords with...
Yeah. And I was trying to remember if they did a little music sting from the Elektra soundtrack, but that would require remembering the Elektra soundtrack. So I don't know. Maybe it was a clever reference. I
don't think they use anybody's music, because none of the Blade music shows up in this.
Okay.
But yeah, so...
Elektra's in this movie.
Hello, Elektra from Daredevil 2004.
Nathan,
and
you'll
Elektra
remember I can't remember, one of us bet that wasn't going to be the case.
Oh, we did
all the way back when we did our Elektra episode.
Yeah, because we hadn't seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet.
Yep.
I think I
can't remember who it was.
I think I had heard that there was some murmurings that she might show up, and I think you said you doubted it. We can go back and listen later.
Yeah.
And then, but there is no slow-mo there. That's just like a kind of snap reveal to it being her. And then she sort of walks, and then it slow-mos. And out walks Wesley frickin' Snipes, Kyle. I was shocked. My jaw hit the floor. I couldn't believe what I was watching, Kyle. This was insane. Blade from...
my audience cheered for sure.
Yeah, Blade from Blade 1998 and Blade 2 2002 and Blade Trinity 2004. Insane bring back. Because he's not even part of the Foxverse. That was a New Line movie.
We didn't cover him in this podcast because we're like, that's not Fox.
We did discuss it though, didn't we?
I vaguely, yes.
Obviously we didn't do it, but we discussed doing it.
But then we were like, oh, did we do all the Punisher movies as well? And it's like, nah, we're not going to get into that well.
Honestly, Kyle, though, I wouldn't hate if we wanted to do a mini... Not right now, but in some point in the future, if you wanted to do a mini three-burst one to break two big series apart, I would love to do the Blade trilogy, because, love them. He's aged, he's basically just kind of doing Wesley Snipes doing Blade.
Yes.
Because he's a bit more comedic and lighthearted than he is in the first. He's very serious. He has funny lines in the other Blade movies, but he's a pretty kind of straight character in those three films. In this, he's got a lot more kind of quips.
But it's a Deadpool movie, though, so
it's
hard to complain.
Yes, but like, Hugh Jackman doesn't have many quips in this, you know? He doesn't need an introduction. Everyone knows who he is. And then we get our third character, who is a new character to the franchise, never met before.
The Gambit, as he calls himself, even though I don't think that's what he's usually he's just called Gambit.
The people call him the Gambit. And he said, are you sure? Or are you sure that's something you really wanted people to call you, but no one ever really did? Lots of good Hollywood bits here.
I mean, the entire character of Gambit in this movie is a Hollywood bit, because so many jokes are about the fact that Channing Tatum for many years has wanted to make a Gambit movie. And they've never let him.
At the last ever Hall H Comic-Con panel for the Fox X-Verse films, all the first class cast were there. Ryan Reynolds was there as Deadpool. Hugh Jackman was on stage. I think even some of the New Mutants were there. And they brought out Channing Tatum in his Gambit t-shirt to announce he was doing a big Gambit. Like, in terms of like a behind the scenes thing, but a public behind the scenes thing. It wasn't like a behind the scenes hush hush leak. It was official. He was Gambit, and they just never got to make the film.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in rooms with all the X-Men cast, like I say, at the Hall H panels, and Ryan Reynolds. Like, it was all so primed to happen, and then it just didn't.
And he's doing a very silly accent.
Which apparently is the character. It's like supposed to be a...
Yes, it's a Cajun accent
Cajun
from like
accent,
South US.
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana.
Yeah. He says he grew up there, he had family there, like he knew it very well. It's very strange seeing him do it, but I don't know if that's because we just know Channing Tatum too well, or if it's actually a good accent. I don't know. The film makes fun of it heavily.
Yes. Who's your vocal coach? The Minions.
Yeah, the Minions. But I think for this movie and this movie alone, I'll buy all the Gambit stuff. The outfit looks very faithful, the power set's great, I think Channing Tatum's really good in it. Now, again, the more traditional MCU movie, is this the look they would choose for Gambit? Sure, they would give him the trench coat, right, and they might give him a headpiece, but they would do something under the coat, right? Mm-hmm. But I think this is just a very faithful, what a Fox movie would have done look.
Yeah. You know, I would like to say, I appreciate that the movie kind of shows these characters, especially Elektra, like a level of dignity. Even though we talked about Elektra, that movie's terrible, right?
Yeah.
But they still treat the character with it's not Jennifer Garner's fault that the movie was terrible.
They give her a new costume. It's kind of a nothing.
They give her a new costume.
It's kind of a nothing costume, but it's like ever so faintly maroon coloured.
Yeah, but like she shows up and she still feels like the same character from those movies, which is interesting.
Honestly, I can't remember her character from those movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate that she doesn't just show up as like a gag to die.
Yeah, she's not doing a Saturday Night Live, but
yeah,
but I do appreciate
their whole...
she needed a reintroduction because Deadpool's like, who could forget? Nobody needed to give Blade an introduction. You knew who Blade was when he walked in.
Sure, yeah.
It's so surreal, by the way, seeing them talking about like other people that have died in the void, and they say Magneto's dead. Uh-huh. Blade being the one to acknowledge that Magneto was dead and that Cassandra melted the helmet. For someone who, like me, who grew up on the Blade movies, to then see that, like, that character in a very insular, grounded universe, grounded within the realms of that film, I mean, there's a vampire hunter talking about Magneto, the famous Ian McKellen mutant from the same time era of the early 2000s, from a completely different franchise. It's just insane. It'd be like if Cillian Murphy's Oppenheimer showed up in the movie. It's just so strange.
I mean, not quite like that.
I mean it quite sincerely. Watch the Blade movies. There's nothing to infer that, like, mutants exist. It's just a vampire hunter movie.
Well, yeah, but Blade is still a Marvel character.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know that watching those movies.
Regardless, there is a fourth member of this team who we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah, go for it.
It is, of course, Laura, X-23, from Logan.
Yep.
All grown up now.
Very, very fun. They spoiled her in the trailers. Don't know why they felt the need to do that. That she wasn't the thing selling people going to see the movie.
No, and she's a very small part of the movie, all things considered.
Yeah,
I will say, as much as the team is fun, it takes very little convincing for them to all commit themselves fully to this cause.
They seem to be part of some sort of resistance, including with Johnny Storm. Their sweet baby Johnny. He's been missing for days now. So I guess they were looking for an in to attack Cassandra.
Yeah.
I should note, sorry, just one more thing on Blade, because some of my notes I want to bring it up. This film never really fully engages with what Blade is. He's just Wesley Snipes. Like, he has the fangs in, and he has a cool knife. But, like, he's a vampire hunter. When he shoots people, they turn to ash because he has silver bullets.
Yeah, I don't think the movie needs to explain it. It's fine.
I think they could have utilised the material a little bit more. There should have been vampires working for Cassandra or something.
Not necessary, because Blade is ultimately a very minor part of this movie.
I think that just when he shoots someone should have turned to ash on the ground with a skeleton left behind because he shot a vampire. That's all I'm saying. Just to sort of... it's more about the synergy and the tie-ins and just little accent pieces, not structural supporting bits, just little flourishes,
He throws his weird, like, metal boomerang thing.
He didn't have that in the 3 Blade movies. That's new to this.
I I'm sure that's a thing I've seen Blade carry before.
No, he. Oh,
Clips and
sorry,
stuff.
I thought you were talking about his big weird machete knife. Sorry,
No.
his little throwing blade thing. Yeah, he does have that, I
Yeah.
suppose. But it's supposed to turn people to ash if it's a vampire because it's made of pure silver, Kyle. But no one turns to ash. Thus, there was no vampires here. Why are they here taking him?
I think you're asking for far too much Blade in this Deadpool and Wolverine movie.
Yeah, I am. Nice accent pieces, Kyle. I don't think I'm asking much. Just accent.
Listen,
pieces.
Nathan, there's only one Blade. There's only ever going to be one Blade.
Yeah. There is only going to be one Blade, isn't there? Which, again, another very brave comment. Feige said at Brazil Comic Con, or Brazil D23, I think, last week, or earlier this week, that they're still committed to Mahershala Ali's Blade, and they're looking forward to it. Mahershala's also committed to it.
See, I think this joke is very good because it works on two levels, because obviously Deadpool does a little look at the camera.
Yep.
And if you're in the know, then it's Deadpool saying, yeah, look, think of all these production issues with the new Blades. If you're not in the know, it's just like, oh, Deadpool knows they're making a Blade movie.
Yes.
So there you go. It works either way with whatever information you have.
Yes, it does. But I just think it's so wild, though, considering everything that's going on. But yeah, Laura and Logan have a little sit down around the campfire, don't they?
Yes. I don't know. I feel like just because this Logan doesn't know Laura or have any connection to her, it doesn't really work as well as it could.
Maybe he's been keeping this in for so long and he's not found someone he can sit and connect with about his issues. Like, everyone hates him in his own universe. He's literally been on the run with Deadpool since the moment he left his universe, and he can't really sit and have a serious discussion with Wade about this. This is just probably his first opportunity to actually talk about it with someone who knows him and can understand, but also doesn't hate him.
It's kind of weird that Laura is here, isn't it?
Is this the one from apparently Wade's universe?
It seems like it's the one from Logan. Like, it seems like it's supposed to be the same character.
I've interpreted the movie going, just don't think about if this is actually that one or not. She has the glasses.
Yeah.
She has the glasses from Logan, which was like only something that Laura could have picked up.
And obviously it's still Daphne
It's
Keane.
still Daphne Keane,
So.
yeah. I don't know. I think the film would really not think about it too hardly, because why is she here? Who knows? Kind of a sad ending for that character from that film.
Did she get pruned at some point? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess that universe is dying, so
I suppose.
better to escape.
I suppose. But yeah,
But yeah, they have this sit down and we revealed that Wolverine was getting drunk in a bar and somehow humans came. This is how he explains it. Humans came and they killed all the X-Men. Nathan, fucking how?
I don't think this is as crazy as like you're thinking, right? So just thematically with what the X-Men movies have been about, you know, and they always treat humans that are kind of a bit of a threat. There's always more humans that are mutants. Maybe mutants are always playing the defense. They're maybe trying to not kill the humans, and they're just kind of maybe guns and caught off guard, ambush. But I enjoy this scene quite immensely because they're talking about Scott and Jean, and when he's talking about them, it almost feels like he's not talking about characters we've never heard of. He talks of them with like a familiar sense that the audience know who we're talking about. We're talking about the original cast. And they always begged him to wear this costume, and he never wanted to do it. He was too embarrassed to be associated with it. Now this always got to remind him of him. But yeah, so he went out to get drunk one night, and humans came to the X-Mansion and murdered them all. But I think a lot of the X-Men movies have this sort of humans want to wipe out mutants, and who's the bigger danger, the X-Men with their fancy superpowers or humanity?
Yeah, but did they come with Sentinels? Because when we saw Victor McDade's bar, it seemed like they weren't living in a future hellscape.
I mean, the Sentinels have existed since the 70s. This could be a weird middle ground where they haven't overstepped their mark yet and they're still doing the job as advertised.
And if they did come with Sentinels, would Wolverine being there really make a difference?
Survivor's guilt's a real thing, you know?
I guess.
But I actually don't assume Sentinels. I just assume that it was just overwhelming force and caught off guard.
You can't overwhelming force Jean Grey.
Oh, yes, you can if she's in her bed. If she's sleeping.
We've seen her in her bed. She was melting the walls.
That's when she's in Dark Phoenix mode. Right?
I
don't know. I'm incredibly forgiving because the film's they've always had this commentary of the dangers of humanity over the fear that they pretend that they have of mutants. And it feels intellectually consistent with the story the X-Men films told about the danger actually being humanity, that something has transpired, because it's not too specific with what happened. Maybe they did use Sentinels, but the fear that they always had that one day humans would actually just take vigilante justice on the mutants just because they're different. I think it's just very consistent with the X-Men movies and the civil rights messaging, inequality, and how this presumed normies are actually the real threat, not the people that are different. It just, to me, it just thematically fits with the last 20 years of these films. It doesn't even raise an eyebrow. I just think it's just so correct that would be a thing that could happen in the universe.
It's kind of the thing with any multiverse story, though, which is when you introduce the multiverse, what are the stakes anymore? It's like, oh yeah, all the X-Men died in this specific universe, but there's infinite universes where they didn't die.
Well, yes, but you only really get attached to the one whose continuity that you're associated with, you know? If Tony Stark comes back in Doomsday, it's not the same Tony Stark that died in Endgame, you know? It's a bit like people saying...
Or maybe it will be, I guess we'll see.
Maybe it will be, I guess we'll see. And also, I think if you do a sacrifice with no prior knowledge that you're going to return, the weight of that self-sacrifice still matters. You didn't know it was going to work out. I think it all is very case-by-case dependent. But anyway, I like the scene between Logan and Laura. I think it's pretty effective. He's having this moment to decompress for the first time probably in years, however long it's been since that happened. And they're leaving at sunup to go to Cassandra, and you can come if you like. And he's like, not my pig, not my farm, I'm not coming. He's just happy to stay here and drink all of Gambit's liquor.
And then, yeah, they drive up, and for some reason, Logan, after deciding to tag along, sits in the trunk.
Didn't have a lot of room in the car.
They probably could have he didn't have to sit in... He could have sat on the roof.
No, because then how's Blade going to do his big, only going to be one Blade rocket launcher moment with Punisher's rocket launcher?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so we just blow through Scott Lang's hands then? I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just blowing through his flesh and bones.
I mean, it's mostly bone at this point. It looks like the body's pretty decomposed inside.
Yes, it's just leather gloves and bone. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I have a big fight here, you know. I'm going to make a name for myself, you know. It's about building a legacy and stuff, and Laura puts on the gloves, and we have this big fight, right? Again, there's only so much we could really talk about in the fight. It's all very competent and well done. We get up to Cassandra's place. Apparently she's sitting in Thanos' throne. Don't know how the scaling for that works, but I read it online, so we'll see. Blade says the some motherfuckers are still trying to skate uphill, Kyle.
He sure does.
Listen, that works very specifically as lightning in a bottle line in the original Blade movie, and I've never hated it. And I'll give this movie a pass for what it's trying to do, right? But that better not become a catchphrase when we see Mahershala Ali. But, you know...
yeah. Their plan is Cassandra Nova could kill them all with a thought, but if they put Juggernaut's helmet on her, then she can't use her powers because it blocks telepathic powers.
It works like Magneto's helmet.
Yes.
Which I didn't know. I don't know if that's true or not.
That is a thing from the comics, because you remember in the comics, the Juggernaut is Professor X's brother.
Yes, as in Xavier, yeah. This film doesn't linger on that too much, does it?
It sure doesn't.
No.
He gets his shins chopped off and then his head chopped off.
Yeah, by
it's
Laura,
fine.
yeah. X-23. Mm-hmm. Oh, very good. Pyro shoots Cassandra in the belly.
Yes.
But I guess before that, she has a moment where she basically handles Deadpool immediately and then decides to start torturing.
Oh, yeah. Pyro's working for Paradox, by the way. It's really not that important.
It's not that important, yeah. It's just an issue to say, oh, by the way, shit's occurring in the underworld that you should be aware of.
Oh, she threatens to flay their brains while flicking the beans to the Puxavenia.
Yep. Very strange reference.
Very strange line.
Very strange.
From a character who hasn't been very crass this far in the movie.
No, has not been. But she decides to start torturing Logan to see if he'll come round by going into his head. And in his brain, it's just like a field of reeds, which is, it's a thing in different cultures of the afterlife, in Egypt and stuff. But it's just desolate. There's no sun. It's just really foggy and muted green. And the big
just like an endless row of monoliths.
Stone monoliths, yeah. And it's quiet. Or you hear like vague ethereal screams. But then she's like, I can make it all silent. And it's dead silent. And he's down on his knees in the ground. I think it's all very effective, by the way, and horrific, right? But what Charles would have wanted for them. And he's like, we got you. And we're able to get Juggernaut's helmet from Laura and put it on her head, and that's when Pyro shoots her. I think the Wolverine stuff in this film is exceptional, I should say. I really, really like it.
It's okay. I find it a bit hard to properly engage with because this is effectively a new Wolverine, right? This isn't the same Wolverine from the previous movies.
I can appreciate that disconnect. I think I'm just choosing to just go with the Hugh Jackman-ness of it and less of the
Uh-huh.
it's the different Wolverine of it. Because I imagine in a lot of these universes, the mutants probably are going through a lot of the same issues a lot.
You think this Wolverine had an adventure on the Statue of Liberty?
Yes, I do. I think that's a canon event.
That's a canon event.
It's a canon event. There's no way that didn't happen. But when she's going to die, she's like, either you kill me or you take off this helmet to let me go take you home, and I'll kill you. But then because Pyro shoots Cassandra in the belly, that seems to be a wake-up call for Wolverine.
And I guess she can, like, just use her powers to reject that kind of injury. I don't really know how that works.
Her powers are kind of vague. If she can put her hands through people's skulls and use telekinesis to, like, rip people's flesh off of their bodies and their clothes and stuff.
Yeah, there is a moment where, earlier in the movie, where Logan impales her from behind and then she just sort of shakes it off.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, her powers are kind of whatever the film needs.
Yeah.
Sort of amorphous changeling from Star Trek powers.
Yeah.
But because Logan sees her dying with the Juggernaut helmet on, but he knows taking the helmet off will save her, he's like, Charles wouldn't let me sit here and watch you die. Deadpool's nothing to do during all this. He's just there holding her in place. It's a Wolverine movie in these moments, and I love it. I really, really like it. I understand that we couldn't get here without Deadpool, but just taking these in the vacuum that they're in, the void, if you will, I think it's all very just strong stuff. And
well, this is like the Deadpool climax of the movie, and then all the Deadpool core stuff is like the Deadpool climax of the movie.
Yeah, so Cassandra decides, I will let you go, because apparently my brother loved you, and then and Logan's like, well, he loved all of us. You know?
This is very strange, because Cassandra Nova has this bit of a redemption moment here, where it's like, oh, maybe she's not totally evil after all. And then the movie decides later, nah, she is, though.
Yeah, she is, though. I don't even really know why she decided to let them go, except she was incredibly touched by this speech. Like, she believed it. She was profoundly impacted by what happened.
But not profoundly impacted by it enough to change her ways in any meaningful way.
Yes, But she lets them go. She used Doctor Strange's sling rings. Apparently, he arrived and she killed him once and wore his skin around for a few days. So F Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I also didn't realize, I think she has the sort of leather strap outfit on.
Uh-huh.
Is that supposed to be made of human skin?
Oh, that'd be quite terrifying if it was. I guess it could be.
I think that might be the implication.
Okay. I know it's under her white shirt. Don't know why she took her white shirt and her trench coat off. It was a hell of a look.
Yeah, I would have kept the trench coat.
Maybe a Time Ripper is a quite sweaty thing to be around, so you gotta,
Maybe so.
So we go back through the portal. It's all slow motion. I'll be seeing you playing Kyle from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Another banger, and everyone's sort of looking up, saluting them as they go through. Blade and Electro looking up longingly, and Gambit as well.
Yeah, we just kind of leave the supporting cast to die to be eaten by a big smoke
they
monster.
were looking for an ending. That was what this was about, Another meta thing, we never really got sequels. We never got a Logan moment, our characters. We just kind of stopped making films. So this is their end, It's whatever, they're, as you say, Kel, I'm asking for too much Blade. They're not the focus. So they are wait, but in the TVA screens, Gambit goes through a portal and makes it out. A sling ring Marvel Sparkle Circle opens for Gambit, and he left there. That's in the film.
Right, okay.
They shared it on Instagram and on Twitter independently. Ryan Reynolds done that, but then it's actually in the film. It's not like a deleted scene. It's on one of the TVA screens if you can see it. So it is canon, apparently, that Channing Tatum's Gambit did leave, but he didn't die. So he's out there somewhere.
So really just Blade and Elektra died then, is what you're saying?
Yeah, because apparently they were... But if they were able to save Laura, because she'd certainly get taken by Eliath.
Well, Nathan, you'll remember that at the end of Elektra, she has some sort of vague coming back to life powers. So,
You say I remember that, I don't.
You remember Chancellor Valorum teaches her magic?
Oh, Chancellor Valorum's in that? Yeah, you're right. Oh, what a film. But... So we get lines about how Disney's going to make Wolverine do this till he's 90, or Hugh Jackman do this till he's 90. All very fun. Clock out from the car dealership, Peter, because we're back for good. Very convenient, this TV outpost across the street from Wade's apartment.
I mean, they were observing him.
Yeah,
so
I suppose so.
That's probably why it's there.
Suppose so, Kyle.
This is where we get what I think is the most pointless fight scene in the movie, which is the Deadpool core.
Fan service.
Is it even fan service though?
All the different Deadpools, they were mentioned earlier on by Nicepool.
They were, yes, it's been established earlier in the movie, but in terms of where we're at in the movie, I'm like, we already had like a big fight scene. Do we need to have another big fight scene?
We needed a big fight.
We needed
a big fight scene that Deadpool and Wolverine were involved with, because they're not really involved in the big fight scene at Cassandra's base. They're kind of,
I guess so.
and also I think it's quite a technically impressive one. The big side shot, like a corridor. See, that's based from a film. I can't remember the name of the film. I'm failing my film credentials here.
Old boy.
Oh, Old Boy. Sorry, I thought you said Old Boy. Yeah. Old Boy.
Old boy. Is the name of the film.
You're right.
It's a Korean film.
Yeah. I knew it was a foreign film. So they're doing the bit, right? And all the different. We get a Welsh pool because Ryan Reynolds owns Wrexham, which is a Welsh football team.
We get. I mean, the one front and center is Lady Deadpool, who apparently is played by Ryan Reynolds' wife.
Blake Lively. Yeah. Or just voiced by. There's a Scottish Deadpool in the background with a big broadsword and a kilt on.
You know, it's really like they walked into Comic-Con. I think it would be funniher if this fight scene was set in like a Comic-Con convention.
I think that would be too on the nose. I think that would feel
too on the nose.
That would feel too spoofy.
To everyone. Because there's always so many Deadpools at those things.
Yeah, there are so many Deadpools at those things. But I think that would have been too on the nose personally, so I'm fine with them just kind of keeping it where they are. Nice Pool's dead. We hold him up and he dies violently because he doesn't have regenerative powers. He can tap Legend the fourth wall as well, Kyle.
That's actually one of my favourite jokes in the movie, is where he just stares directly into the camera and goes, "The proposal."
That's a good bit, isn't it?
And Deadpool's like, "What the fuck are you doing? That's not what I do."
That's good, yeah. And this whole time we've got Mary Poppins with his dog Pool.
Very ugly dog.
Very ugly dog, but Nice Pool is now dead and he gets his gold-plated 50 cals Desert Eagles, and we get Dog Pool, and then we're going to fight it's Uzi time, Kyle. Uzi time. I love the way Blake Lively says Uzi time, baby. Uzi time, baby, says the head Pool. There's Kid Pool, there's all the pools. So in the big fight, we rip through the bus and we have our Stan Lee cameo of the film, Kyle.
Yeah, I missed this. Apparently it's on the bus.
Yes, it's on the side of the bus. It's got a picture of Stan Lee, and he's like doing like a, like I'm a good salesman thing. And he's like, the Stan Lee steamer, your friendly neighborhood cleaner since 1922, which is the year Stan Lee was born.
Of course.
I don't think I saw this in the cinema. If I did, I've rejected it from my brain. This is the first memory I have of it anyway. And they fight all the way through the bus. They kill everyone, but all the Deadpools get back up because they can regen. And then Wade and Logan are saved by Peter because Peter shows up. By the way, we didn't even mention Wolverine mask.
Yes, Wolverine has a mask.
Deadpool.
What do you think of it?
Deadpool compares it to Batman. Listen, I think that these films have never included it, and we've seen it in like the end of Wolverine in a deleted scene, and it's it's always just kind of been a thing
they've always kind of evoked it with his hair, but they've never committed to it.
I think in this movie, I'm fine with it. I could even picture an MCU proper X-Men cast where they have a Wolverine that does wear it, but I think it would need redesign from what this one is. I do think the big wings on it are like, I never knew what they were for, and then Deadpool makes a joke out of it, calling them blowjob handles. But he asks, what's the wind resistance on them? And it did get me thinking. He does kind of run around on all fours in the comics. Is it meant to be a wind resistance thing? Is it so he can move faster? Is that what they are?
I think it's just to evoke like an animal look to his face. Also, remember that canonically Wolverine is short, so it makes him taller.
True, very true. Listen, I tell you what, I'm fine with it. He lost the sleeves, he put it on. He's got they were smart enough to, instead of just making them like Batman eyes, they're like white holes, like the Deadpool mask.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Honestly, fine with it.
I think it's an okay look. I don't think it's amazing, but it's,
Yeah, I think it gets a pass. And this is where Hunter B-15 starts to notice stuff's going on, because...
Yeah, special cameo appearance by the lady from Loki, who was a character that everyone really cares about.
Cassandra Nova is taking cause the Time Ripper and stuff's going sideways. I mean, listen, I like her in Loki, I do. And you know what? If you're not going to use Owen Wilson, she's a perfectly good character to bring in. You're not using Loki, right?
Sure, I'm sure she wasn't overly expensive to bring in.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I did want to say, though, I find this gag with Peter so strange. So,
apparently,
like, out of nowhere.
Every Deadpool has a Peter.
Every Deadpool has a Peter, and they all love Peter, and he's a legend in every universe, even though Peter was a gag character in the last movie who got chopped up in a garbage... No, he got acid vomited in the face and died.
They just...
And suddenly Peter is this, like, cosmic important being, and it's just a very, like, out of nowhere
Every
gag.
Spider-Man has a Ned, you know? It's just, yeah, listen, I'm not questioning it. Yeah, maybe if this was trying to be like a Deadpool 1 or Deadpool 2, I would question it a bit more, but I just, fuck it.
I question it because I don't find it funny.
I don't find it overly funny as well. It's just they need a resolution to the fight, and they wanted to acknowledge all these Deadpool's regenerative powers.
This is why I say I would cut the Deadpool core entirely from this movie. I don't think it adds anything.
Yeah, I mean, Deadpool even acknowledges that the runtime of this movie is going up a little bit because he says we're in the home stretch, folks, I promise. So we've got to raise the stakes, and we basically, Paradox tells us that basically it's a warp core. He says it's a matter and antimatter powered engine that are streaming the Time Ripper together. So we're going into the subway, we've got all these caverns beneath it. Wolverine's going to sacrifice himself. They have a big heart-to-heart about why he needs to do it. It needs to mean something. And Deadpool needs to be around for his own universe. Then they do the Wrath of Khan, Dr. Spock knocking out McCoy thing. He's like, I'm actually going to go through and do it myself, actually. And then they even reference Spock. He goes, I'm Marvel Jesus, or Spock, hard to say, which is the exact vibe I was getting before he said it. So I love that validation, let me tell you. I'm never going to let a Star Trek reference pass me up in a film.
He does the live long and prosper.
Yeah, he does. I've even put an emoji in my notes here. And Madonna's like a prayer's playing through all of this, an operatic version, and he's doing it, and he doesn't have enough time, and the universe is collapsing, and because he needs the two warp cores are too far apart, he can't make it. Maybe if he had one of his katanas, he could, but he's too far away. And then he gets grabbed by Wolverine, and then he uses his claws to reach the rest of the distance, and they do it together. Not enough. One person would die doing it, Kyle, but two can take on the load together. This is like Guardians of the Galaxy with the Infinity Stone. Remember?
It is like Guardians of the Galaxy. They're even like glowing in the same way.
But
except it's orange instead of purple.
But it rips Hugh Jackman's shirt off, Kyle.
Yes, for some reason.
Because he looks amazing for whatever age Hugh Jackman is. Remember, he said it was getting too much for him, but he pulled it off for this. Good for him.
But it's funny too because there's no way that they asked him to do that.
No,
he just did
that. Good for him. Listen, Hugh Jackman's you're never going to hear a bad word out of my mouth about Hugh Jackman in these films. And then we think that's it over. That the Time Ripper kills Cassandra, or seems to, maybe rips her into another void dimension, who knows. She's out of the fight though, that's her gone, and the universe is saved. And Paradox is like, everyone's dead, Hunter B-15, I tried to save the day, they were my men, I loved them, I didn't do enough to save the day, as a matter of fact. And then he has risen, baby girl. They survived, Kyle. And we get Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls playing, and it's just great. Right, another banger, Kyle.
There's a very weird moment between Hunter B-15 and Peter.
Yeah, he really fancies Peter, which is just a really weird... Deadpool acknowledges this is really weird, but it's almost like, yeah, this is weird, but why did you include it?
Paradox is like, what the fuck is happening right now?
And then they drag Paradox away, and I really hope we see Paradox again. Good on him. Good on him. Mm-hmm. You could say this movie's a little bit disconjointed, but I think that character is a good piece of kit they've uncovered. So Wolverine and Deadpool are going to get some shawarma. That's the day saved. And the Avengers discovered shawarma, in case you didn't know.
It's where I first heard of shawarma, to be fair, as an ignorant white person.
What do you mean? You were 14 years old.
Yeah, well, fair. But yeah, shawarma, where is shawarma from? It's like...
I don't know.
Persian?
I've never had shawarma. I've never bothered.
You've never had shawarma's pretty good. You should try shawarma.
Okay, interesting. okay, we're gonna have a shawarma fest here. But Dogpill survived, and Wade's very happy about this. Logan tells Wade that the Avengers would be lucky to have Wade, or any team would be lucky to have him because he's completed his character journey, and he's doing it because they need him. They needed Deadpool to save the day. It wasn't a matter of Deadpool giving into his addiction to save people or whatever it is Happy was trying to imply it was about at the start.
Yeah, as I say, his character arc doesn't really work.
Yeah, but Kyle, that's it. They survived, and he says, I'll see you around, Logan. And he says, probably not. But then he invites Logan back to his apartment to meet Blind Al and to be part of the party. And they make a plea to Hunter B-15 2 minutes prior to bring back some people that helped them get out along the way. And all we actually...
I guess she only brings back water.
I mean, listen, to be generous, you could just say that she saved the other two and sent them back to their own universes, right?
I mean, yeah, maybe. I guess, as we say, maybe this is Laura's universe. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly, right? Who knows? And Laura's came back down from Canada because mutants aren't rare anymore or something. Don't know what happened to the Deadpool Corps. Did they all get sent back to their reality? Who's to say?
Yeah, we don't see them again.
Never see them again. They ran off with Peter, but Peter was in the apartment at the end of the film.
Yeah. Well, Peter comes down to stop them from, like, executing people.
Yeah, he does,
so.
he does. We get not Hunter B-15, Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Yukio are both here. They were at the start of the movie as well, we just never mentioned them. And they're having a big party. And Vanessa and Wade are maybe going to rekindle the relationship. And it's maybe about, not just about the people you save, but about the people who save you too, Kyle. And it ends in a shot of the Wolverine and Deadpool masks on a table. Is that Wolverine? Is that Logan now part of the MCU? Like, we're just not recasting him? But I guess he's not in 616, so they reserve the right to recast him later.
Who knows, Nathan? Who freaking knows? The MCU has still done nothing with the X-Men, and maybe they never will at this point. So.
We get them at the end of the Marvels, Kyle. Remember Kelsey Grammer's back as Beast?
That's true, but that was also that was potentially this universe, I guess.
Potentially this universe, I guess. Yeah, who knows anymore? I've been told that apparently after Doomsday and Secret Wars, maybe they're going to start making a more front and centre appearance. Maybe they're going to stop making Avengers movies for a while.
Also, we did have that bit in Miss Marvel where he says you have some sort of secret gene.
Yeah, I clapped. So, yeah, that's Deadpool Wolverine.
That's the Deadpool Wolverine. That's the Fox X-Men
that is
universe.
All the credits of this, they get Good Riddance by Green Day playing, and it's a great little sort of acoustic sort of song. And there's just a lot of B-roll from behind the scenes of all the Fox X-Men movies. We get everything,
plus some others.
Everything. What? Well,
there's some clips from Elektra, some clips from Deadpool.
There's
some clips from Fan Four Stick in that montage.
Sorry, what I said Fox X movies, I really meant Fox Verse, Fox era comic book movies.
Yes.
There's nothing from Blade in here because it's not a Fox film. You know, like really good on them for including Blade. It made no sense to do it, but good for them. And yeah, so many things about them, like at the start of their journey, Hugh Jackman's anxieties about doing it, but who's this guy doing it back in 2000? Halle Berry shots, first class shots.
Ryan Reynolds talking about how he always wanted to play Deadpool while on the set of X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Is there anything from New Mutants in here? I feel like there was one shot of... I
think there's one shot of New Mutants.
No, it's what's her face? Anya Taylor-Joy's character. Rasputin? Is that her name?
Ileana Rasputin.
Yeah, one shot of her.
Magique.
Yeah, Magique. I think there's...
It's just magic. But...
Yeah, I think there's one shot of her in the thing, but they really included everything. Makes you feel like...
They have a fun little transition where Johnny Storm, Chris Evans flames on, and then he flames off into Michael B. Jordan, which is just a little cool little editing trick.
Yeah.
But,
we see Michael Chiklis's thing turn into other thing, whose actor I can't remember, who's now, I think, playing someone else in the MCU.
Probably.
But... good stuff. Really, really good. It's weird, prudent. It's obviously they done it for us, the audience, Kill, but didn't do it for us, the podcast. But when you watch all these movies in order, all of them, and then you watch this as your last one, you got to wrap it all up. That's a nice montage that goes, we've been on a journey, haven't we, Kyle?
Sure, yeah. We have been on a journey, for sure. This has been intriguing. I'd not seen most of these movies going in. I'd seen some of them. I'd obviously seen the first three. I'd seen the Deadpool movies, but yeah, it's been quite a journey. Much longer period of time than DCU, even though we were doing less episodes, which is interesting. They really cranked those DC movies out. They did. Comparatively.
Yeah, they did. Crashed and burnt bright and fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like just a weird little parallel universe that's existed to Marvel all this time.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And this being our only MCU movie that we've watched, but it's part of the Foxverse. You can't, whatever you can say about it, it's the marrying, it's the linkage of the two franchises, really. And we said before, when we start doing the MCU movies, it's going to be the last show we ever do.
Yes. Well, speaking of which, Nathan.
Well,
is it time to announce what we're doing next?
Well, I think what we should actually announce is next week we're taking a brief detour into an old friend.
Yes, next week we're going to be doing the Penguin.
Yes,
but yes.
We are going to be going into the Penguin next week. But yeah, Kel, I think you're correct. We should actually announce what the next actual show is going to be after our week return to enter the Snyderverse.
Enter the Snyderverse,
Sorry.
yes, even though it's got nothing to do with Zack Snyder. But that's the branding we chose.
Yeah,
okay?
that's the branding we chose. The Twitter account matches up better for it, but we'll ignore that for now. Yeah. Kyle, why don't you do the honours, Kyle? Tell us.
Oh, I was gonna give you the
do you?
honours.
Okay. We're too chivalrous to each other, aren't we?
I think I'm giving you the honours because I think this was your idea.
Okay,
so.
yeah, right, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll and post-production, please. Or just the sting of the film in question. The next show for Enter the Insert Name Here verse is Enter the Bondverse.
Oh yeah. It's going to be the longest season so
Yeah.
far. Over, what is it, like 60 years of movies at this point?
Over like, 26 episodes this will take us? This will be half a year of our life.
Yep. Oh god, when you put it like that.
I know I've had some interest from various friends of the shows about this one. I'm curious. I haven't seen every Bond movie ever made. I've seen most of them.
Neither have I.
I've seen most. I've seen all the Connerys. I've seen Lazenbys. I've seen all the Brosnans, all the Craigs. I've seen a smattering of Moores, but I've not seen all the Moores. And I don't think I've seen either of the Daltons. I've seen clips of the Daltons. I've never sat and watched them though.
It's going to be a trip through time, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
and this is going to include Thunderball, and then we're thinking it's also going to, not Thunderball, it is going to include Thunderball, but it's going to include Never Say Never Again, which is a remake of Thunderball.
Mm-hmm.
And also we're thinking of taking a look at the original Casino Royale with David Niven. So,
Yes.
quite the mountain we have to climb. We should also just do a little bit of housekeeping here as well. We are also going to be taking a look at Joker 2 at some point, so in this Bond verse...
Yes. Whenever it comes out to streaming, we'll do Joker 2.
So when you're watching our James Bond verse, there will be a hiccup where it's like a nervous tick. We're going to tick into the Snyderverse briefly again.
I cannot wait to talk about Joker 2. I've heard such great things.
Yeah. I thought I was going to see it multiple times. I've only seen it once, and I think the second time I see it will be when it comes to streaming. Yeah, so we'll take a brief break next week to go back to the Snyderverse for Penguin, because that just finished this week at the time we're recording this. So this serves
Indeed.
a good time to binge it. And then we'll do that, and then we'll look back around to Joker 2 at some point. But in 2 weeks' time, you can be welcomed with an episode of Dr. No.
Indeed.
Sing us out, Kyle.
Nathan, where can the people find you on the internet?
The people, as always, can find me on the interwebs at all social media hosting sites such as Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. I'm spending a little bit more time on Blue Sky at the moment. It's starting to pick up a little bit of pace. I'm still on Twitter at time of recording, Mastodon, though I don't really use it, but you can find me there. I copy and paste all my tweets. And, that's kind of it for now. I'll let you know if we have any more improvements anywhere else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Other platforms that should remain unnamed for now.
Yeah, other places are available.
And of course you can find me at Kyle the Scot on YouTube, where I do video essays and game critiques. I am planning to do a video where I rank all of these X-Men movies that we've been through, so that should be a fun one. Hopefully get that out by the end of the week.
I can't wait for it.
Actually, it'll probably be out before this episode, but that's just how that works.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where you can find me.
I might be in those comment sections
And-
from time to time.
Thank you very much for listening to Enter the X-Verse. It's been a fun ride. I hope you'll agree.
Yeah, no, this has been a great one, Kel. I'm so happy that we've done this. I think this was a really good choice.
Yes, and I hope we're going to have fun next time when we enter the Bondverse. But for now, we will see you next time for Penguin.